We're very happy that you are able to be with us here tonight, both the Baha'is and their friends and guests, as we commemorate this especially significant event in the history of our faith, the 100th anniversary of the passing of its founder, Baha'u'llah. And before we commence the music tonight, I'll just say a few words of background for you about the significance of this year, 1992, in which we are especially remembering the life of Baha'u'llah. The life of Baha'u'llah was dramatic and marked by sorrow and great suffering. Over 40 years of his life were spent as a prisoner and an exile. In the year 1868, after 5 years of banishment from his native land of Iran, Baha'u'llah was ordered by the Turkish authorities to be sent to the desolate prison colony of Akka, which was then in Palestine, which was a possession of the Ottoman Empire. Today it's in the state of Israel. Here, the worst political prisoners of the Ottoman Empire were consigned. And Baha'u'llah's crime, for which he was not tried, was religious heresy. He had announced in the year 1863 that he was the manifestation of God for a new and wonderful age in human development. He had made the extraordinary statement, the revolutionary statement, that the earth is but one country and mankind its citizens. He also had proclaimed that the fundamental purpose of religion is to promote peace and unity in human society. At the very heart of Baha'u'llah's teachings is the message that religious truth is one, that all the great divine teachers, the founders of the world's great religions like Moses, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, are all part of one indivisible purpose, and that each of their revelations represents successive stages in the spiritual evolution of humankind. Baha'u'llah wrote, "There can be no doubt whatever that the peoples of the world, of whatever race or religion, derive their inspiration from one heavenly source and are the subjects of one God." So when Baha'u'llah passed away on May the 29th, 1892, at a place called Bijan, outside the town of Akka, his teachings had been heard in very few countries of the world. But in the 100 years since, Baha'u'llah's message has spread very rapidly, so that it's now established in every single country, nation, island, territory on earth. And his writings are translated into over 800 languages. The Baha'i Faith, you might say, has now emerged from a period of relative obscurity to the point where it is widely regarded not as a sect or an offshoot of any existing faith, but as, in fact, one of the world's major religions. Baha'i communities have been established throughout the globe, and it's interesting to note that there are over 400 such groups and communities in Australia, from Tasmania to the Torres Straits. The faith was established here as early as 1920, and it's continued to grow ever since. The aim of all these groups is to demonstrate a working model of unity in action, to demonstrate the spiritual dynamic of Baha'u'llah's teachings, to bring people from vastly differing backgrounds together in a spirit of lasting harmony and cooperation. And we hope that you have experienced evidence of this unity, this feeling of harmony in the Baha'i groups that you have had contact with. So tonight we are commemorating this significant event, the 100th anniversary of the passing of Baha'u'llah, with music. The writings of our faith refer to music as the language of the soul. So in a very real sense, we're in for a spiritual feast tonight. Some very special music making by two masters of their instruments, and it's my pleasure now to introduce them to you. Bijan Khadem Missagh lives in Vienna and divides his time between performing as a soloist and a chamber music player. He's also conductor of the Tonkünstler Orchestra, chamber orchestra of Vienna, and he travels the world as guest conductor in many other countries. As a member of the Baha'i Faith, Bijan considers himself a world citizen, and as you will hear, he's very eloquent in the world's truly universal language, music. He's joined on his first Australian tour by one of Australia's most accomplished and best-loved musicians, Max Olding. Max has had a long and distinguished career as a pianist and teacher. In fact, the only two Australian entrants in this year's international piano competition were both students of Max Olding and his wife Pamela. And as you're probably also aware, the Olding musical tradition thrives in a younger generation. Max's son Dean is the principal violinist of the Sydney Symphony Orchestra.
Bela Bartok's Romanian folk dances is one of the pieces I've chosen to play at the beginning of the second half, as it's a very good example for the unity in its diversity. Bela Bartok, being one of the greatest composers of the 20th century, traveled around in his own country, in Hungary and in Romania, and collected the folk music of his time. And it's interesting to hear how great the variety is in these 7 short dances that he has collected from a rather small part of the European continent. And it shows how beautiful it is to have the variety instead of the uniformity. If all the dances would sound the same, it would be very boring. And this is the situation with the world today. Unfortunately, in Yugoslavia, our neighboring countries, as we live in Austria, is going through great difficulties. And I think the only solution for these kind of problems is to have a new way of thinking. Instead of fighting, instead of using force, instead of denying other people, it is to appreciate the beauty of others. It's to be enriched. It's an enrichment to know other people living in the same area. And as this is my first trip to Australia, I must tell you I have the feeling as if Australia is maybe the continent that is going to show the world how it is to be multicultural. And I would like to take this memory with me, as this is my last concert here and tomorrow I'm leaving, this memory to share it with all the other countries to which I'm going to travel, to look towards Australia. And it would be my sincere wish that Australia is the continent that grasps the beauty not only of the human life but also of the spiritual reality that is hidden in the writings of Baha'u'llah. So you will hear Bela Bartok's 7 Romanian folk dances.